Steelers, Bears, prime time football in Pittsburgh.
At least the Steelers print theirs in color.
Yes, they do. Well, at least the Bears release doesn't come in color for us local yokels. Heinz Field will be buzzing. Pirates will play a day game. Traffic could be a mess. Will the product on the field be a mess Sunday night, Guy? Will the fans be staying past halftime? That's the way the Steelers have become. Fans have become skeptical of this team after an 0-2 start.
I think the Bears have a shaky 2-0 start. And I even read a quote in one of the Chicago papers this week. I think it was Jay Cutler that said, we know we could be 0-2 very easily. They have two narrow wins. They came from behind. We're down to Cincinnati by 21-10 in the third quarter and came back and won that game. So I'm not taking away from what they've done, but I think this looks a little bit more like a mismatch on paper than it might actually be. The thing about the Bears, Ken, is they force a ton of turnovers. This team led the NFL in turnovers last year, and they forced 6 through 2 games already. And you start watching them play a little bit, and you get you kind of lick your chops and think, boy, this is what you wish the Steeler defense could do. They create none.
Yeah, no turnovers for the Steelers through a couple of weeks. They've been close here and there, but quarterbacks are getting the ball out quick. To me, if the Steelers have any chance, it's to take advantage of Jay Cutler's ability to cough it up himself. He's a bit of a risk taker.
Had a fumble return for a touchdown. He's thrown 3 picks in 2 games. You're right. So the ball could be hopefully bouncing all over the place over there.
Yeah, then Steelers in front of the home crowd on prime time. I do expect it to be vibrant and loud, and Cutler may have time. He's got 2 rookie linemen on the right side, so that sets up for a big night for Lamar Woodley, perhaps, who's looked good through a couple of games. And, hey, they win a ball game here, they're back in the mix, especially in this division.
Well, he's only been sacked once. They get some young offensive linemen, but I think their offensive line's better than it was last year. That was an issue for them. This is really a must-win. I mean, this is Custer's last stand as far as if they start 0-3, I think you can kiss the playoffs goodbye. It's just the way it goes. I know the rest of the division hasn't set the world on fire, and it's awfully early to talk like
Cleveland
that.
set their roster on fire. Sent them to Indianapolis.
That's right. But we've 11% since 1990 of teams that have started 0-2 have gone on to make the playoffs, and it really shrinks to almost nothing if you start 0-3. And, I would think the fans and the players both are going to – this is a pretty desperate time. Minnesota's not that great of a team. If you could somehow win this game against the Bears and go into the bye maybe 2-2, maybe you can calm everything down and come back with a new vengeance after the bye week. But I think this game is that important.
Find a way to win any way you can, and that may include Heath Miller. My hunch is we're going to see Heath here and there. They're going to try to – they're not going to put him in and have him play 60 snaps, but – I don't know if that's desperation coming out in the form of pushing him sooner than necessary. But then again, as you laid it out, Guy, the stats say it is doing. You better if he's 80% fine, better than what they have so far.
If he's 80%, play him 80% of the time. I mean, what are you going to do? This, 75 rushing yards through 2 games, 19 points. I mean, those are ridiculous numbers. There are running backs in this league with runs longer than 75 yards. One run. And that's what they have ran for in a total of 8 quarters.
Well, and that's the thing. Against the Bengals, you could understand a game plan of really not even trying to run. That's a good front. And the Bears have a good pass rushing front, but Peterson and the Vikings, and it's Adrian Peterson, ran against them some last week. You can't abandon. I think they're going to really have to pound Redmond a little bit. And, do you really want to go into every week just being so one-dimensional? The running game's not dominant in the league anymore, but you got to have some. I do expect them to stick with the running game a little more this week.
Yeah, I think you have to. And, I think it is a different set of circumstances. I said last week I'm not a fan of dink and dunk offense. I thought that was the way to go against the Bengals front. 2 games now, play, as Bill Cowher always talked about the fine line, a play here, a play there. They've had a chance to go up by 2 scores and turned it over. I definitely think the Tennessee game they win if they go in for a touchdown and go ahead 9-0. I'm not sure that they automatically win the Cincinnati game if they go ahead 6-0 or 10-0, but they've been real close early to taking command of a game, which just changes everything that you're doing rather than playing from behind all the time. And it's got to be, despite what the Steeler organization has accomplished, Ken, I think it's a fragile confidence right now. Let's face it, they can downplay it all they want. 2 straight Thursdays, your offensive coordinator's had to explain himself about a confrontation. One in a bar, one with one of his receivers. That's not good. Now you got guys coming out.
Next week it'll be
if you haven't been here 4 years, you can't play ping pong or pool. I got a better idea. Take all those games out of the locker room. Nobody play those games right now.
Well, you mentioned the turnovers early. Could that mean
You don't want to comment on my Steelers social
You said it well.
gathering in the locker room.
Nothing else needs said there.
They lose this week. You have to be on the team 5 years before you're allowed to play ping pong?
It'll be only Ike Taylor allowed to play pool by himself in the corner. Because they have fragile confidence, because of those early turnovers the last few weeks, first quarter.
Very important,
very important
more than usual, I think so.
You get in a hole and the fans start to boo and everybody gets restless and Antonio Brown's squawking on the sideline again, allegedly, which Todd Haley denied. It's that kind of a tenuous week. Steelers and Bears, and primetime always a thrill at Heinz Field coming up this Sunday night.